faithful were there from 3 in the afternoon. Surprisingly, though, the wannabes, the girls who want to be Madonna, were in short supply. Those who did turn up looked like old enough to know betters. Why do you dress up like that?
Well, it's just that we're extravagant anyway, and it just happens that she is as well, so we're just sort of the same type of people.
Outside the 12-foot high security barriers, those without tickets took whatever they could get by way of a vantage point. For others, it was a relief just to be near their idol. But nobody got past that girl's 400-strong army of private security guards without that vital piece of paper. Despite the large numbers, the day was extremely good-natured, and with no hint of crowd trouble, the local constabulary decided to get some community policing done. Out by the main entrance, other members of the force seemed to be getting policed by the community. Rumours that video pirates would be selling copies of a sleazy film Madonna made before she became famous turned out to be false. But there was plenty of decent merchandise for those with spare cash, including the day's crucial accessory, Madonna Specs, as modelled by the star herself. Despite all the publicity surrounding her visit, the concert wasn't a complete sellout. Surplus tickets were available at makeshift box offices outside the stadium, but there were better bargains to be had elsewhere. This ticket for today's concert has a face value of £15, but with just 2 hours to go until showtime, touts are selling them for just £6. As non-sellouts go, though, 70-odd thousand isn't bad. And by 8:25, it was time for the record industry's most successful female to justify all the hype and hysteria. What she delivered was a visually superb 90-minute show, with dozens of slides, 6 costume changes, 3 dancers and 1 star. As far as the fans were concerned, it was no contest.
She was cracking. And she was just out of this world, amazing.
Brilliant. It was worth the wait all afternoon. I've waited to see her for 5 years, and it was everything I thought it would be. And I'm going to Wembley on Tuesday as well. Sexy lady. Gary, good morning to you. Were you impressed?
Yes, you can see that the fans all there were impressed, and that was just a small selection of the people we spoke to. And I pretty much agree with them. What you can't tell there is that she's tiny. I mean, she's smaller than me, and she just dominates the stage. There were 70,000 people there, and really she was a speck in the distance, but she managed to dominate the whole stage. And the interesting thing was, it wasn't just a pop concert. It was like a Broadway show. Every number was a big production number. There was a moving pavement across the stage with dancers sliding by, big screens with slides on. So the whole thing was put together with a lot of care. And I think even if you're not a Madonna fan, you could have gone along and been impressed by the spectacle.
So they definitely got their money's worth then?
Oh, absolutely. 90 minutes worth of magic.
What was security like? I mean, we've heard all about these bouncers running around after her and thumping cameramen all the time. Was it really like that?
Well, I don't want to say too much because we might want to get back into Wembley on Tuesday. Security was tight, but I think it's all part of the Madonna myth. What she's very good at is being a star. And all these minders and all the heavy-handed tactics, they're not really there to protect her privacy. What they're there to do is bolster up the myth, because the more she's seen to be this private woman who's been surrounded by big, burly heavies, then the more the myth will grow and the more she'll become a star.
But it was a good atmosphere anyway.
It was great. Actually, the atmosphere, for anyone who was jealous of us being in the press area, the show was much better from the main crowd, because sort of 2/3 of the way through I bunked out of the VIP area and watched the rest of the show from the middle, because we were at the side and you didn't get such a good view, and the atmosphere in the crowd was absolutely fantastic.
Great. Melanie McFadden, you're the advice columnist for Just 17, aren't you?
Yeah.
You heard Gary's report about how wonderful it was for all the fans who were in Leeds, and no doubt the hundreds of thousands of others who'll be watching her at Wembley over the next few days. What's your view on Madonna? I mean, you say she's idolised.
Well, I mean, I think she's kind of wonderful, in a way. but I'm here to criticise her, so I'll get on and do that in as an intelligent manner as I can.
Can I just...
Without becoming
you're
stuffy.
not necessarily here to criticise her if you don't want to.
No,
if you
no.
think she's got that magical ingredient called star quality, which I do, then by all means go ahead and say it.
I think she has star quality, but it's star quality that I object to. I thought that in Desperately Seeking Susan, she was doing all of us a favour, all girls and women, because she walked along and she was very raunchy and she was very sort of rebellious and upfront, and she wasn't meek and mild and passive and acted upon. She said, get out there, the world's yours, do what the guys do, but do it better. She didn't, and she was getting equal. And now I think, as Dave Hill said in the Independent the other day, she's just getting even. And she's taking on a kind of old-fashioned, outworn images of sexuality and corseting herself and inviting everybody to want to be her and to get to her and get close to her. And it's, you can get close, but you can't get too close. And I think what that does is propagate an image of women that can lead to all kinds of quite dangerous and ultimately quite vicious things. And I don't like the cult of the personality either, because once somebody stopped being a sort of example, like Susan was in Desperately Seeking, she becomes this kind of commercialised image, like Marilyn Monroe did. And I think that leads to, not only to the personal tragedy for the star, but also to kind of tragedies for all those who to be her. Can only have one star and millions of wannabes, and it's a commercial hype.
Aren't we taking this just a little bit too seriously? There are
Well,
9 and
listen,
10-year-old girls
I
who
get
want to see
hundreds
her.
of letters. Yes, fine, but I get hundreds of letters at Just 17 every week from people who want to be somebody else. And if only they realised that being themselves was just as important as wanting to be a star. That the star is setting a kind of example that people can never achieve. And if they could stop doing that, then they wouldn't be starving themselves to death or, you know, saving all their money to buy some piece of old crap that nobody really wants, that's just marketed by some clever ad man.
But when I was 14, I wanted to be Davy Cassidy's girlfriend because I idolised him, and it didn't do me any harm.
Well, I wanted to be Mick Jagger, and it got me nowhere.
Melanie McFadden, Just 17 magazine, thank you very much indeed. Gary Imlach, just one thing I'd like to clear up. You say she's smaller than me. Well, how tall are you?
5'6".
5'6", and she's
What about
smaller
yourself?
than you. And like every good Scouser, he bunked in where he shouldn't have been in Leeds at the weekend. Gary Imlach, thank you too. Greavesy, what do you make of it all?
Oh, it's all too much for me, that, you know. Vera Lynn will do me. I can't get to grips with this media hype. I'm sure that's what it is at the end.
But at the end of the day, there must be something there. If it were all hype, Jim, it would go away, wouldn't it?
I don't know whether there's... I mean, I've never forgiven her for that handball anyway, and that's the end of it. But
What's better in that than she did the shorts, doesn't she?
I don't know, really. I suppose when we were young, we had our idols. That's absolutely true. We had people, I mean, Elvis Presley and people like Marilyn Monroe in those days, and everybody, a young generation needs people to idolise.
I'll tell you what, there were hundreds of